Welcome to AminAcademy.com. In world history, let us discuss about Chera Pandya dynasty, polity and administration. Nature of polity. Though hereditary monarchy was the prevailing from the government, disputed succession and civil wars were not unknown. The king, as in all essential respects an autocrat whose autocracy, however, was tempered by the maxims of the wise and occasional intersection of a minister, a poet, or a friend. He held a daily court, Nalavai, at which he heard and set right all complaints. The ideal of the conquering king, Vijayushu, was accepted and acted on. Victory against seven kings meant a superior status, which the victor marked by wearing a garland made out of crowns of the seven vanquished rulers. The most powerful kings were expected to undertake a Digvijaya, which was a conquering expedition in a clockwise direction over the whole of India. The idea of Chakravarti, whose Digvijaya was led by the march of a mysterious wheel of gold and gems through the area, is mentioned in one of the poems in the Purananuru. Another poem in the same collection mentioned the companions of a king who committed suicide when the king died, an early anticipation of what later became a widespread institution under such names as Palaiyakkarar, Gurudas, Shahavasis, and so on. Now we'll discuss further about administration, polity, and society. The Chera Pandya dynasties in ancient Tamil history had different political structures and administrative system. Chera, a monarchy with a king as the supreme ruler, but with a council of ministers and intellectuals to check his power. The kingdom was divided into provinces, districts, and villages, with governors and officials appointed by the king to rule each level. The Cheras capital was Vanji, which is now in Karur. Chola, a monarchy with three levels of government: central, local, and provincial. The king was a hereditary ruler who would go on state tours to expand the kingdom. The Kaveri river was especially important to the Cholas, and the annual floods were celebrated with a national event called Adi Perukku. Pandya, the monarchy with a king who had absolute power and was assisted by a council of ministers. The kingdom had a level organized bureaucracy that carried out the order of the king and the council of ministers. The crown was passed down through the royal family through the hereditary succession. Revenue administration. Here, some information about the revenue administration of Chera, Chola, and Pandya dynasties. Chera dynasty. The Chera dynasty administration was decentralized, with each region governed by a local chief or Naduvazhi. The Cheras collected taxes on agriculture, trade, and other economic activities. Revenues officials and Manigramakkal collected taxes and maintained order in trade centers. Chola dynasty. The revenue department of the Chola kingdom was called Puravuvari or Puravuvari. The residential portion of the village called Nattam was exempt from tax. Pandya dynasty. The Pandya kingdom was divided into regions, each ruled by a local chieftain or noble called the Palaiyakkarar or Poligar. These local rulers were responsible for collecting taxes, maintaining a law and order, and contributing to the kingdom defenses. Next, we will talk about military administration. The Chola, Chera, and Pandya were three powerful dynasties in ancient South India, each with a distinct military administration. The Cholas had a well-equipped and well-trained army, including infantry, cavalry, and elephants. They also had a navy that protected their trade routes and prevented piracy. The Cholas established garrisons and cantonments to deter rebellions and upsprings. Cheras had a monarchical administrative structure with a king as the supreme ruler. The king's power were checked by a council of ministers and intellectuals. The kingdom was divided into province, districts, and villages. The Pandya. The Pandya's economy was based on agriculture and with fertile plains that supported the cultivation of rice, millets, sugarcanes, and cotton. However, the dynasty was weakened by internal instability, including infighting, succession disputes, and weak leadership. The Pandya territories were also invaded by the Chalukya and Hoysala dynasties from the Deccan region. The Chera, Chola, and Pandya dynasties were the three most powerful kingdoms in ancient South India during the Sangam age, which lasted from the 1st century BCE to the end of the 2nd century CE. These dynasties were known as the three crowned kings. They ruled over the Tamil region known as Tamilagam. There are some details about the society and Chera, Chola, and Pandya dynasties. We'll talk about societies. First is administration. The Chera kingdom had a monarchical administrative structure with a king as the supreme ruler. The king powers were checked by a council of ministers and intellectuals. Trade. The Cheras were seafaring people who established trade relationship with Egypt and the Roman Empire. The Chera country exported bulk spices, ivory, timber, pearls, and gems to the Middle East and Mediterranean kingdoms. The Chera, Chola, and Pandya promoted early literature on the Indian subcontinent. The Chera, Chola, and Pandya built important Hindu temples. Social classes. Sangam society was divided into four broad social classes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. The Brahmins, who were priests and scholars, occupied the highest position. Chera, Chola, and Pandya dynasties were three major ruling houses in South India that contributed the fine arts and culture. Chera, known for their Dravidian architecture and paintings. Chera paintings were created in palaces and temples and depicted Hindu mythology and other religious themes. Some examples include the 17th century murals at Padmanabhapuram Palace in Kerala and the 11th century frescoes at Brihadiswara Temple in Tanjore. Architecture. Chera architecture included rock cut and structural temples and mural paintings on some caves. The Vadakkunnathan Temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Literature. The Cheras patronized literature including Sangam poetry and the Malayalam language. Chola, known for their frescoes. Chola frescoes were discovered in the circumambulatory corridor of the Brihadiswara Temple in 1931. The frescoes were painted on the walls with a limestone mixture and natural organic pigments. Pandya, known for their painting which share similarities to Buddhist and Hindu art. Pandyan paintings often features animals, royal figures, floral pattern and lotus levels. Some of the only remaining Pandyan paintings are in the Sitanavasal Jain temple where they cover the wall and roof of the cave. Now we'll talk about economy. Their economy were based on agriculture, trade and industry. A primary occupation for the people with the main crops being rice, millet, sugarcanes, cotton, fruits and vegetables. The Pandyas built canals and reservoirs to improve irrigation and increase productivity. The Cholas, Pandyas and Cheras all engaged in trade with the Pandyas and Cholas, establishing trade connections with countries like Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia and China. The Cholas had a well-developed maritime trade network and a strong navy to protect their trade routes. The Pandyas traded through ports like Korkai, Kayalpattinam and Manigramakkal. Industry. The Cheras, Cholas and Pandyas will had thriving industries with the Cholas known for their craftsmanship and exporting bronze sculpture, pottery and textiles. The Pandyas specialized in the production of textiles, pottery, metalware and shipbuilding. The trade and commerce. The Chera Chola Pandya dynasties were all major trading power in the Tamil region during the Sangam period. Pandya dynasty were a major trading centers, exporting fuels, spices, textiles and ivory and importing gold, silver, horses and silk. The Pandyas traded with countries like Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia and China and with the Roman Empire, Egypt and Arabia. The Pandyas were known for their pearl fishers with Korkai and Alagangulam being important exchange centers. Chola dynasty had a well-developed maritime trade network trading with the regions like Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka and Arabian Peninsula, the East Africa. The Cholas traded in spices, precious stones, pearls, textiles, ivory and perfumes. They also exported bronze sculpture, pottery and textiles. Chera dynasty. The Sangam text describes the number of Chera rulers and in a Paditru Pattu, Agananuru and Purananuru are important source for the Cheras. Social classes. Sangam period witnessed the appearance of the Brahmins as a regular Varna as also their growing influence. They were patronized in the role of priests and wives by the kings. Another fact worth to be noted in the consumption of meat and wine by the Tamil Brahmins during this period. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were absent as regular Varnas at this time, but warriors and merchants were to be found as separate classes. Brahmins began to make its inroads into South India with kings performing Vedic sacrifices and the higher classes adopting Vedic gods. Buddhism and Jainism also began spreading through Brahminism occupied the center stage. At the same time, animism and worship of various indigenous gods continued among the common people and the tribes. The belief in reincarnation, the effects of karma is successive births, and the power of fate was the basis of all religion in India, and this was generally accepted in Tamil country also. position of women. With the growing Aryan influences, the position of women suffered. Remarriage of widows was generally not favored. The lot of widows was a hard one. They had to cut off their hair, discard all ornaments, and eat only the plainest food. No wonder that some wives performed die with their husbands and earn fame as satis. The tonsure of widows like the laying of the tali at the marriage ceremony was obviously a pre-Aryan Tamil custom but taken over the perpetual into later times. Burial practice. No single method was adopted for the disposal of the dead. Both cremation and inhumation with or without urns as freely mentioned. A widow offered a rice ball to her dead husband on a blade of grass, and the Palayan had a part to play in this funeral rituals. Sati was fairly common, though they no means universal. The heroism and devotion of the Sati were doubtless applauded by public opinion, but the practice was certainly not encouraged, much less forced. A long historical night ensues. After the close of Sangam age, we know little of the period of more than 3 centuries that followed. When the curtains rises against towards the close of 6th century AD, we find that a mysterious and obliquous enemies of civilization and evil rulers called Calabras, Kalapalar, have come to upset the established political order which was restored only by their defeat at the hands of Pandyas and others. Pandyas and Pallavas as well as the Chalukyas Badami. So far we discussed about the society, kingdom as well as the economy, about the society of the Chera Chola Pandya dynasty. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.